It's episode 104 of Unstuck, and in today's Entrepreneur to Entrepreneur chat, I'm talking to my friend and client, Maggie Landice, about what she's learned in her first year of business as a nutritionist and diet disruptor. So stay tuned. I'm Shawn Miner, and this is Unstuck, a space for heart-centered entrepreneurs to implement both the inner work and outer strategies required to get unstuck and build the impactful, profitable business of their dreams. No hustle, grind, or long hours required. Let's get into today's session. Hey there, friends. Welcome back to Unstuck. So happy to have you here. I'm so thrilled about today's episode because I have a guest on the show. It's been a long time since I've had a guest and shared the mic, and I love doing solo episodes so much, and I will continue to do those, of course, but I also miss just chatting with people. It's one of my favorite things to do as a podcaster, and quite frankly, the only reason I stopped doing them for that period of time, it's been a couple months now, is because I just wasn't finding the right people to talk to. That's all. That was it. And now I really am wanting to turn the tides a little bit, flip the script, and be able to bring on some real entrepreneurs doing the real work of getting their business started. I think a lot of podcasts share the stories of entrepreneurs when they're already super successful. They have this giant business, they're making tons of money, they're doing all this stuff, and that's great. Super fun to hear those stories, but what about the in-between? I think it's really important as a business owner myself and someone who loves to help other business owners get their business off the ground, to talk about the in-between, those moments that we all have, those years that it takes to get to that point where we're super successful, where we're 6-7-figure business owners. It doesn't happen overnight. And sometimes it makes it seem like it does when we hear all those stories. And so then we get in this vibe where it's like, well, it's not working out for me. I guess that I'm not meant to do this or cut out for this. And we stop. And I really want to feature the women I know out there right now that are doing the work, that are making it happen, that are showing up for their business, whatever that looks like for them right now. Real life, relatable stuff. And the first one on the list of people I wanted to bring on the show to share their stories of entrepreneurship, starting a business, building a business, growing a business, the aches and pains and all the triumphs and everything in between, is my friend, my client, an Unstuck Entrepreneur member for life, Dr. Maggie Landes MD. So we are going to chat with Maggie today. She has been in business not even a year yet, but has learned so much, has so much wisdom already to share with you all, whether you're someone who hasn't started their business, or you have started and it's not growing, or you're in the midst of doing it all and you can absolutely relate to everything Maggie has to say. We are all going to take away some amazing nuggets from what Maggie has learned in her first year of business in this episode. So let me do a quick introduction of Maggie, and then we will go to our chat. Maggie Landice is a board-certified physician, public health nutritionist, and anti-diet wellness expert. She created her signature Get Eatfluenced coaching program to help women who are exacerbated with chronic dieting be able to fix their food overwhelm and live a full and unrestricted life pursuing their personal passions without the distraction of rigid eating behavior. She is also the creator and host of the Eatfluencer podcast, where she and her guests dig into the mindset work required to construct a healthy, complete, and high-quality life unlimited by the oppression of diet culture. And without further ado, let's talk to Maggie. Dr. Maggie, thank you so much for coming on the Unstuck podcast today.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Sean. I am thrilled to be here.
I think we are equally as excited, which is great because that means we're going to have just a lot to talk about and people will definitely feel our enthusiasm for this conversation.
Oh, yes. I'm enthusiastic about this because there's so much to share and you caught me at a good place in my growth to share it.
Yes, I know. I totally agree. Okay. So before we get into all of that, I would like for everyone listening to know more about you and your business and how this all unfolded. So give us the backstory.
Well, the backstory is interesting. So my profession, I'm a physician and I've been in practice for almost 20 years. I'm a pediatrician and I was doing like a normal career, just, kind of what everybody expects. And I got sick with cancer about almost 5 years ago. And I'm in recovery. I'm not saying that to be a point of conversation really, but I stopped when I was doing that and sort of realized two things. First of all, I didn't know enough about nutrition. So I went back to grad school to get a degree in nutrition. That's a side story. But the bigger piece of my recovery was thinking, is this it? I'm doing a great job. I have a career. It's fine, and it's admirable by many measures, but I didn't feel kind of complete. I didn't feel like my soul was in it. I know you like that soul
Yes,
stuff.
I do. So, I love it.
Love the soul stuff. So I was like, I need to figure out what is missing because I just felt like there was a piece of me I wasn't sharing with the world just because I hadn't really tapped into it myself. Mm-hmm. So I had the luxury, if you could say that, of time to take sort of this break from my busy work, which was required by my health. And I realized I think I want to do something a little different. So I did go back to work and I finished graduate school and I did all these things. And then now I have gone completely in as an entrepreneur. And it's not even been a full year now, honestly, since I've been 100% in this. And I am a diet culture disruptor. Mm-hmm. And I decided that my zone of genius is to help everybody that has been stuck in diet culture, particularly women, for years and decades, including me, this is where I came from, to really get some clarity about what it means to eat to serve our bodies, what's the truth about health, and also really to understand this external diet culture influence that we are so embedded in. Most of us don't even realize you're asking a fish what it's like to be underwater. You don't even know it. Mm-hmm. There's no answer because we don't realize it. And so when I developed an awareness for this, I wanted to share it with other people and kind of pull back the curtain a little bit that, hey, listen, somebody who's educated, who worked in diet culture, who worked in mainstream healthcare for 2 decades, has evolved and learned something and wants to share it. And so that's sort of like where we are now. But there were a lot of steps along the way. That makes it sound like it was just like a decision and I checked it off my list. But it's an evolution to become an entrepreneur.
Oh, absolutely. And it's almost like it's so fascinating. And I think this is where a lot of people find themselves is like, there's something for you. It was your health. For a lot of, especially in the wellness space, it's something with someone's health and their family or their friend or something that triggers this spot in you where, first of all, you want to learn more. And so then once you learn more, it's like, no, I got to share this with everybody. But also like in your case, and I think about this a lot, and I hope everybody does, is like, how are you spending your time? And is that really the best use of your time while you're here on this planet? Like, it does go by. Right. It doesn't seem like it when it's day by day, but it does go by very fast. When it's all said and done, what do you want to be known for?
Well, and that's what I kept thinking when I was recovering. I kept my prayer, my mantra while I was recovering was like, I'm just not done. Please don't let this be like the terminal event because I'm not done. Mm-hmm. And that's what I was saying. I don't even know what that really meant until after the fact. I was like, okay, Maggie, well, you better figure out what done means because at some point you are going to be done. Mm-hmm. And you've had the opportunity and the privilege to not have this be the end point. So let's do something, and the thing that was holding me back for so long is my career and my career life, professional life was great. I mean, it was fine. I was doing what I was expected to do. I loved what I did. I'm not saying I didn't love it. It wasn't enough. There was something not enough about it because I feel like it wasn't going to leave this lasting impact, like leaving a legacy behind. It was a career that was going to end when I stopped doing it. And I wanted to do something bigger. Yeah, I'm kind of like a go big person. Go big.
Well, you are from Texas, or you live in Texas.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I'm from Texas. Yeah. You should see my high school yearbook photo. You would see my hair and understand the go big or go home it was happening in 1990s.
The mantra. Yeah. So I just think that that's such a powerful piece of your story. And we all have that story. It's just, at what point do we realize that what we're doing, how we're spending our time isn't lighting us up, isn't part of our soul's journey, our soul's path, what we're meant to do here. And there's so many people, we get stuck in this place of, I go to work and I do this thing and it doesn't light me up, but it's fine. And it's paying the bills and I'm too scared to do anything else. And it just takes too much time. It takes too much energy. I can't figure it out. I don't know what to do. So I'm just going to stay in this pattern and never feel that thing, never really fulfill the mission here. And I think that I'm super passionate about people not doing that and actually taking that next step. And hopefully it doesn't get to the point where it did for Maggie, where you get you get sick. You get to this point where you don't know what's going to happen and you have to start thinking differently about your life. So I want to go now, because I know there's a huge gap there between where you are now and like, hey, I want to do more with my life. I have this message I want to share with people. This is a big deal. It was not like, okay, I'm just going to create this course and I'm going to quit my job and I'm just going to start.
Wouldn't it be great if it was that easy?
It's never that easy. And this is why I want to bring people like you on Unstuck, because I want people to know that while there are so many stories out there that make it seem like it could be easy, very rarely is it ever like an overnight success. It's really not. That's not how this works.
They're not showing you the other 2,000 nights that they weren't a success.
Yes, exactly. All the struggles. And I just really love where you're at and what has changed for you already. So I want to talk about that, but let's go back to like maybe a year ago, because I feel like I met you like last summer, maybe.
Yes. Well, I've been a Sean Miner fangirl for quite a long time, but I think we officially met last summer because I was in your inaugural group of Unstuck entrepreneurs. And that's when we really started, established a working relationship together. So,
yes. But I remember you before that in the Facebook group I had before that. I remember you because you were the one that had all this stuff created, but then not doing anything with it.
Yeah.
So how did that all happen?
Right. Well, see, and that's the thing, is that's what I needed. And I would encourage anybody who's at this early growth part of a entrepreneurial venture is get somebody a few steps further than you down the road to help give you that directionality, because every single person who starts a business has a great idea. I'm sure they do. If they didn't think they had a great idea, they wouldn't even bother. Let's just be honest. The problem is, 99% of them don't know what to do with the idea. And that's okay. That's a learned skill. That's not just like, if you can't figure it out on your own, you're just not a good business owner. It's the same as learning how to play tennis or whatever you do. Like, you have to have somebody a little more advanced to just show you the next right thing. And that's really what great entrepreneurs bring to the table, is they have that energy, they have the creativity, they have the self-starting kind of that fire, but then you need somebody to help you. So you don't just like have all these things like going on with no impact. It's easy to get stuck there in the, just behind the starting line, kind of futzing around with all these ideas and not ever doing the thing that gets it into the world.
Yeah, well, that's because it's safe there. Like, you can work on your computer and be like, oh, I created this amazing thing and this amazing thing. And I started an Instagram and I have this website and it's beautiful, but nobody's seen any of it because you're not putting it out there.
Right. And it's not a checklist of to-do items. It is really a methodology of getting your voice and your face seen and your voice heard And then, yeah, these are the tasks associated with it. But frankly, that's not why you need a coach or a leader. You can Google that. You can YouTube that till kingdom come. Like you need somebody that can mentor you through the process. Because it is not all that quick pitch, like a 7-figure business. And now I'm sailing on a yacht in Tahiti and I work 2 hours a week and all this sort of business. No. They didn't just show up there.
No. Oh God, no. And yeah, all the behind the scenes, all the failures, all the this, all the that it took to get there. And a lot of stuff that no one wants to talk about, no one wants to bring up because it's not the fancy, like showy, flashy stuff. It's like the real deal stuff, but we need to talk about it because you got to get over that hump. And you've got to know that that's going to happen. And I think when we can bring it to the surface and know, like, it's not going to be immediate. You're not all of a sudden just going to get thousands upon thousands of followers. And like, you're not going to publish your website and people are going to start flocking to it. There's a lot of websites out there, people. It takes a lot to get one person to look at your website. And I found that out the hard way. I thought people were just going to start coming to my website as soon as I hit publish. And it was like crickets for months. You know, and so I started actually talking about it. So, so I think what sticks out for me about you is you had like courses and coaching programs. Didn't you have a bunch of stuff created?
I had a bunch of stuff created. I had no idea what to do with it. Not the first clue. And that was what I needed, was to have somebody say, okay, this is the next right thing to do. Like this, I don't need to know what I'm going to do in 5 years. I don't even need to know what I'm going to do in 5 weeks. I need to know the next right thing to do so I can unclutter my head and do something. Like you have to do something. And the interesting thing, the transition for me, and this may ring true for a lot of your audience and a lot of your clients, because especially in the wellness space, a lot of people come into this coaching, teaching kind of place from a professional background. All right. And we were doctors, pharmacists, therapists, whatever. In an academic setting, a lot of your accolades and your audience is influenced by what you've done. That's just how it works. That's how you get rank in an academic center. It's about you as a person and your performance. Okay, let me tell you what, that is humble pie right there, because entrepreneurship, nobody cares about what you have done. Nobody.
Nope.
They don't care. That's not the point. And now when I've really realized that was the singular sort of mind shift that I think really changed everything, because I was putting all these things out. When I finally got the confidence to put stuff out in the universe instead of just piddling around on my laptop, it was about, look what I think, look what I've done, look what I made, look what this. And frankly, there is a lot of people in cyberspace doing the thing. Whatever you think you're doing that's unique, I will just burst your bubble. It's not as unique as you think it is. But when you are infused into it, your personality and your soul, then it's unique. Then you attract people. It's about attracting. I know we talk so much about attraction in your business course. It's about attracting, not marketing. Like we're not selling bread at the grocery store. They can market because you need to buy bread. So they can tell you about their bread and you go buy it. But these are personal services. This is a service, especially if you're in a service-based business, which most of your entrepreneurs and your audience are. It's totally different than other types of business. And when you can wrap your head around that, there's like a light bulb moment. Yes. Because you're like, okay, that's the deal. It's about them. Every touch point in your interaction with your ideal client is about them and what you're going to do for them.
Yes. And that you are their person, which you're not going to be everybody's person. But if you, like you said, if you infuse yourself, your spirit, your personality, who you are in a very authentic and real way, which you do so beautifully, that is what is the attraction point. So you're making it about them so they know that you get them. But at the same time, they feel that connection with you because you're being you. And that's, like you said, what makes it unique.
Yes. And the two things about that, first of all, let me tell you, it's a heck of a lot easier to be you
Yeah.
than to try to be somebody else or some other brand. I mean, it's just frankly less energy sink. So it's easier and more efficient as a business owner to be the most you possible. The second thing is some people will not like you. Some people, you're not their person. Like you said, you're not their person. People will, the more you lean into you, people will unfollow your Instagram account. People will unsubscribe from your mailing list. You know what? That's fine. If they don't like the you that you're showing, the chance of them giving you money for that is so slim, they might as well be gone.
Exactly.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Have a nice day. And that's fine. There's somebody else that can serve them better. And if I'm not the right person, I don't really want to work with them anyway, because that's going to be such an energy suck for me.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I think of it, is like we have this bubble that is our people, like our email list, our Instagram followers, all those people that make up our quote unquote audience, I think is the best way to use, best phrase to use. And we give so much of our energy to those people that if you're giving to people that don't want to receive, aren't your people, aren't interested, and they're just brushing it off, then that's a suck of your energy. So best case for everyone involved, if they find someone that they do connect with, and if it's not you, then let's switch that around so that we can preserve our energy for the right people. That's all there is to it.
Right. And that sounds easy to do, but I'll tell you, and you probably can think back to earlier in your business, Sean, that when you're looking at that email list and you have like a double-digit number of subscribers and 5 people unsubscribe, that is like a punch in the stomach. You're like, shoot, like that, those are like, I'm not growing. I'm doing air quotes. I'm not growing. Those are potential dollars walking away, but it's not about the numbers. You have to just let go of all the numbers, whether it's email subscribers or Instagram followers or views or hits or, tags on your page or whatever. If you get lost in that, you will never get out.
It's a pit, endless pit.
And it means nothing. Honestly, it doesn't mean anything. And they are not your client until they give you $1. So until then, they're just hanging out. And so who cares how many people are hanging out? If you're running a business, at some point you want to exchange money for a service or a good. That's the part of a business. So don't worry so much about everybody. Like, you want to narrow down to the people that want you, that are listening to you, that honestly care about what you have to say and will jump when you say jump. That's.
And if that's 5 people and you lost 5 people in the process of finding those 5 people, well, then you still made
I'd rather
really
have
profit.
5 super fans and 5 losses than 10 ho-hum lukewarm people trolling my Instagram page.
Yep, exactly.
And so you have to get over that, because at the beginning, I walked away from a career where I had a very comfortable 6-figure income. And I just said, no, I'm going to sit in my home office behind my laptop and create content and learn how to do business and spend money. That's the other realization, is this, it's an investment.
Yep.
There is no easy. So you have to spend money, including on coaching and mentoring, which is probably the best money spent. And you just trust that it will come eventually. I'm still trusting. Trust me, I'm not sitting here drinking my Mai Tai planning my trip to Tahiti either.
It's a process.
It's a process. And I'm very early in the process, but I am totally faithful to it. And you just keep showing up. When they say all these business people fail, you know why? Because they don't keep showing up.
Yeah, they expect things because they hear all these stories of like, in 6 months, I made my first 6 figures and all this stuff. And so they think, okay, well, I tried for 6 months and it's not working, so I guess I got to go get a job. Like, that's not the reality. The reality is that it takes time and patience and consistency and commitment to your goal and to your vision. And that's when things start happening. But like, I feel like there's just been such a shift in you over the past probably like 6 months, I'd say. And I'm so curious, now all these things that you're talking about, and you weren't always there, what do you think was kind of the thing that really got it started? Like, okay, I'm just going to know I have all these beliefs. I know I'm thinking all these things. I know I'm scared. I know I don't have a ton of confidence right now, but I'm going to do it anyway. Like, what really pushed you forward?
Well, it was really, my motivation was I knew I had a message to share. I didn't really know exactly the vehicle that it needed to ride in, but I knew that I've got to find the people like me out there who are 40 something years old, who have been drinking Slim Fast since the 8th grade. Like, I need to talk to them. Where are they? How do I find them? It's when you start pursuing the connection and that sort of level of service, that's really truly what a service business is it's, your intellectual property is your asset that you're selling, but it's not selling. It's just, I want to help these people, legitimately want to help people. That's why I ended up being a doctor. I mean, I think a lot of wellness people are in the space in the first place because they just have that characteristic, but really what I decided was I have to go find these people. Like, I know there's people out there. I know there's people out there because I was one of them a year ago, 5 years ago, whatever. So where am I going to find them? Okay. That's when you start learning all the sort of tools of the trade. Okay. And you learn how to create an email list. You learn how to get on video. You learn how to start a podcast. You learn how to build a website and all this stuff. Those are the vehicles to go find your people. That's not the end point. And I think that's the problem, is a lot of people look at that as like, oh, I learned how to make a podcast, so now I record podcasts and I just throw them out in the universe. Well, do you ever get feedback on your podcast? Do you have people ask you questions about it? Do you use that information to create more content? Are you on Instagram just posting videos and then going and sitting by your pool? Or are you like direct messaging the people that asked you questions? Are you pursuing a relationship with these people? Like, you're in pursuit of them, because there are, like I said, plenty of people doing what you do. But if you keep showing up, that you will stand out. Yeah. I mean, that's the distinct difference. And so I don't have a lot of fear of rejection. I guess that probably is helpful, because you just have to get over the fact that some people will tell you no. I mean, they just are going to. But the problem is, if you don't put yourself out there, you have already let them tell you no before they even had a chance to say yes.
You're making that decision for them.
Yes, that's exactly right. No, nobody's going to say yes if you're not there. So you might as well get out there. And if 1 out of 100 people says yes, that's one more than if you sat here in the corner and did nothing. So but it's a long haul. I mean, this is, it's real cliche to say this is a marathon, not a sprint, but I really want to expose that, because like I said, I quit my full-time job. Let's think about this. This is now like 15 months ago. All right. And it took me from the time I quit my job to when I actually made a sale where I collected money from a stranger, was like 9 months. Okay. And trust me, that first sale, which is a $200 online course, which I've raised my prices. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Okay. But I'll tell you what, when that first I set up a thing so that I would get a text message when somebody made a purchase, because that's how excited I was, that I was like, oh, I don't care if this texts me and wakes me up, that's fine. So I get the first text, somebody so-and-so bought your course for $197. And I thought, I have arrived. And then I thought, I just spent 9 months to make $197. And I just was working a job where I was basically making that much an hour. What am I doing? Like, you start second guessing the whole thing, but you say, you know what? When I read the email from the person who took the course and how much I changed their life and how exciting this was, and they can't wait to talk to me and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you know what? That's why I'm going to keep doing it, because there's 1,000 more of those people out there. Now, okay, maybe one sale is not great. So now we have to figure out what tools we can use to find the other 999 people. But you have to just keep showing up.
Yeah. And you're so good at that. And you really have been from the beginning. As soon as you got into UE, you were going for it. You were doing it and you were showing up. And what you said, the reason why and what really changed for you is just this need to help people and this desire to be of service and to find your people. And everyone has that. We all have that. If you want to have a business, it's because you have that passion and that purpose to find your people and share your message. It's just, there's so many of us that their ego voice, their little internal chatter stops them before it can happen, because they just get, like, this could happen. What if this happens? I might get judged. Someone might unfollow, you get in your head about it. And as I say all the time, but I want to reiterate, what it takes is that like desire, like, I got to find those people, is just one tick more than all those fears and stories.
Right.
That's all it takes.
Right. And truthfully, all those fears and stories, like, it's just a truth. It's really like, you're going to be judged. Mm-hmm. You are going to get, I consider this a win. I think I put this in our win thing. I said, when I get like hateful trolly emails from these people on the internet, I'm like, hey, you know what? I kind of consider that a win, because somebody is watching me.
Yep.
Like, when nobody's writing me email, I don't have any idea if there's eyes on this or not. But, when people start being moved by what I'm saying to the point that they are like responding, even if it's negative,
it's a win for sure.
It's a win. It's a win. So, and that's why there's a block delete button, that easy as pie. Right. But here's the other thing that I want to make a point of, is being very judicious about your yeses and your nos. Okay. Because there are so many things out there. All right. And you will dilute your impact in any one area if you decide you need to do all the things. And what I mean by that is, I had all these ideas, like, I'm going to have a course on this, I'm going to have a course on this, have a coaching program, have a podcast, have a membership group, have a Okay, you know what? That's fine. And in 10 years, maybe I will have all those things. In 10 years, I'll probably have a team of people working with me, can help me execute all those things. But when you are starting out of the gate, one thing, and I know you coach this all the time. You're like, listen, you don't need all this fancy pants stuff. You have an idea. There is somebody that needs it, that will pay you money for it.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
So do it. And now here's the other thing too, is it's easy to be like, well, I need a TikTok account, an Instagram account, and a Twitter account, and a LinkedIn profile, and this, You will not be able to execute anything well or impactfully if you're just saying yes to everything. So I think being judicious about what you say no to makes the yes have value. Mm-hmm. So for me, I have decided in the last few months that I'm going to focus on Instagram as my tool of choice to connect with my audience. Why am I doing that? Well, I'm doing it because, number one, I like it. Number two, it's got a lot of utility. Number three, a lot of my audience is on Instagram. And people are like, oh, you're so funny, you should do TikTok. No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to. Or you should do LinkedIn. No, the people on LinkedIn are not my ideal client. I'm not doing it. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. And for somebody else, it might be the complete opposite. Maybe they need to really go to town and making LinkedIn their modality, but you can't be everywhere all the time, because then you're nowhere.
Way too thin. Yeah, you're nowhere. Your energy is just spread too thin, and you can't make the best use of any tool if you're trying to use all the tools. So, and you can really tell in your case that you've just put your eggs in the Instagram basket, and you also have a podcast too, which is great. Yes. And we can talk about that, but you can tell that you just dedicated yourself. It just seems like you just committed to it, and you spend your time there, and you show up, and you were one of the many, I think all, that don't want to show their face necessarily on Instagram, but you're doing it.
You do it. And now I love it. Now I look forward to it. So yeah, you have to just figure out where you're going to make impact. And if you want to be a business and exchange money for something, then you need to find your ideal audience and figure out where they're at and pursue them in not a spammy, sleazy, markety pitch kind of way. There's a million ways to not do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The bottom line is you just keep showing up. And see, can I recommend a book that I read recently?
Yes, please do.
Probably you've read this. I don't know if other people have, but it's by Pat Flynn, called Superfans. And it's not a new book. I think it was published maybe 4 or 5 years ago, but his whole premise of the book, and he's like kind of a marketing guru and business entrepreneur connecting guy, is he goes, you don't need a huge audience. What you need is super fans. And he defines super fans as like the people that will, hanging on your every word, that are asking you what's next with their Visa card in hand before you've even created it. Like, you just need a few of those people to make a business happen. You don't need thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So what your job is in business is not to create the largest audience. It's to create the most loyal following of super fans. And that's just the term he coined. And I kind of like it. So, and I would say, I mean, I'm like, I'll just be honest, you'll be embarrassed by this, but I'm like a Sean Miner super fan because of my exposure to you starting a long, long, long time ago, listening to your keto podcast, to this, to that, to being one of your clients. And then frankly, anything you put out in the world, I implicitly trust and know that it would benefit me, even if I don't even know what it is. Like, and that's a business. That's a soul-centered business.
Yeah. And it's so much about just building connection. And like you said, instead of posting on Instagram and then ghosting and going off to your lay by the pool, you actually make those connections with people as they're coming in. If you do have any DMs coming in or any comments, you're building that connection, and you put out podcasts, you put out regular content, whatever it is, videos, whatever, but it's consistent and it's very authentic, and it's just you showing up as you and sharing your passion. And like I said, we all have that passion, but are we really showcasing it and sharing it? And when you do, that's the magnet for those people.
And to be focused on what your zone of genius, your impact, your message is, and you just keep saying it and showing it and recording it and posting it over and over and over and over. You don't need to keep coming up with ideas. I mean, that's another mistake. I think people get into this sort of, well, I'm also really passionate about this, and I also really care about this. Okay, no, it's too much. Now I'm confused. As a potential listener, now I don't actually know what you do or are good at. I just want you to stick to the one thing so that I trust you without hesitation and become a loyal member of your audience for life.
Yes.
And it's when you know that you can do other things. I mean, so I love cooking, right? And I have people all the time ask me, you need to write a cookbook. I want you to do me a meal plan. And I could, like, I'm perfectly competent and capable, and I probably would even enjoy doing that, but that's not what I do. Like, that's just not what I do. And by saying no, what I am doing has more value. Now, am I saying never, ever, ever? I have no idea. If in 5-10 years, I have a whole team of people and I have time and I have a professional food photographer and all this stuff, maybe I'll write a cookbook. But like, don't be afraid of being like laser focused on one specific thing. And I know we work through this in we spend probably, I don't know, half the time in our coaching together in your program talking about this ideal client, this sort of dream client.
Yes.
Because people think that they need to cater to the entire universe. Yeah. And it doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
It's too vague. You can't appeal to everybody. And even if you think that you are, I'm only going to speak to women, or I'm only going to speak to men or moms or something, still, that's way too many people. And it's just diluted. And that's kind of the same thing that you're talking about too, where if you're trying to be on TikTok and LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook and all these places, and then you only have time really at that point to show up like once every other week on each one at that point. Dilution. Like, we don't want that. You want to be concentrated and focused. Like you said, that laser focus on the right people, the one message that you have, and the one spot where they hang out. That's all you have to do to get started.
Right. So can I make an analogy with a real tangible example? So, and I happened to see one of these cars on the road the other day, these little smart cars. You've seen those? I'm sure they're in Colorado, right? The little ones that are like, it looks like
small.
So small, the smallest car in the universe. I think they're really popular in Europe, but they are like the most fuel efficient thing in the universe. They must be able to go like 2,000 miles on a tank of gas or something. Okay. Now think about the people in the marketing office selling smart cars. And somebody says, well, if you put a pickup truck bed on your smart car, you could carry furniture in it. Okay. We don't care. We don't care. We want to make the most fuel efficient, greenest impact car in the universe.
that
Well,
only a small segment of the population would even be interested in.
Well, what if a family has 5 kids? Okay, we don't care. They're not going to buy our car.
Not our people.
So, and they're not in their office worrying about how to accommodate all these people that are never, ever their clients.
Mm-hmm.
They are finding the people that want to spend $10 a month on gas, and they are marketing the heck out of it and finding, where are they at? Where do I find them? Where do I sell them a smart car? And they're not worrying about what everybody else is doing. Like, they don't care that the people at the Dodge Ram pickup truck place, their trucks get 2 miles to the gallon, and they're catering to the people who want to tow RVs. Like, everybody has a thing. So you just pick your thing, which really should be the thing that you, number one, are good at, and number two, love doing.
Yes.
And put your blinders on, and who the heck cares what everybody else is doing? Like, you
Just
have to let go of that. Yeah,
just
the competition thing. Yeah, the comparitis, I think, is that what you call it? Comparitis that's like intense. And
comparitis will kill your dreams if you let it.
It will kill your dreams, and it will bury your business in self-doubt.
Yes, it will. Yeah, but yeah, you just bring up so many good points. But I want to talk about, because you've now launched your programs, your paid programs several times. I want to talk about some things that you've learned in those processes. The 2, I think, is it 2 now? You're about to do your 3rd?
I'm getting ready to do, yes, my 3rd coming up at the end of the month. And well, you know what? You know why I did the first one? Because you made me write it down on a sheet of paper in our first intake call in the inaugural class of Unstuck Entrepreneurs. And you said, get a sheet of paper and you write down some goal that is so far off that you think it's just almost impossible. And so I got a piece of paper, and I probably still have it in here. And I wrote down, this was, I want to say, was that the end of August or the beginning of September?
Beginning of September.
Okay, beginning of September, just to put a frame of reference on it. And I wrote down, I am going to launch my coaching program before Thanksgiving. Okay, so we're talking from September to Thanksgiving is, I don't know, 10 weeks maybe or so.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that sounded crazy. Like, I honestly was like, yeah, Sean, whatever. Okay, sure. I'm still checking this lady out. I'm not so sure she knows what she's talking about, but no, I'm kidding. And you know what I did? I did it. I launched it the last week of October, a whole month early.
Yes.
Because once you get your ducks in a row, the energy just shows up. And well, let me tell you my first mistake. I got a few mistakes, but my first mistake was I wanted to do all the things at one time because I couldn't understand what came first. So I had a group coaching program, an online course, a membership group, and a podcast, and I launched them all the same week. Okay. Do not recommend.
I don't even know how that's possible.
I don't know. Well, it's not great. So do not recommend. That is a 0 out of 5 stars. Do not recommend if you're listening. And because like I said, I was like, I couldn't picture doing one without the other. Because I had the 10-year goggles on, and I was like, well, if they take my online course, then I need to funnel them into a membership group so that they can keep following me. And then the people that are listening to my podcast, I'm going to be talking about my coaching. So I need to have that available and all this. They were all like interconnected. So I couldn't untangle it. And I thought, I'm going to just put it all out there. Well, and I can't say that any of them was a mistake by itself, but I think I diluted my ability to focus on my audience for one offer by offering so many things. Because here's another genius in marketing is Donald Miller, story brand guy. Well, one of the things he says, if you confuse them, you lose them.
Yep.
It is that simple. If a potential client has to exert energy and fire up their neurons to decode what you are trying to sell them, they are long gone. They are gone. So don't do that to them. You tell them what you want them to do. And if you show up like a cheerleader on October 23rd and you say, listen to my podcast, join my program, do my online course or my membership, blah, blah. They're like, what in the Sam Howdy is going on here? Like, it's too much. It's honestly just too much. And I did have some people sign up. I had some very trusting souls that were like, you know what, this lady seems crazy, but I think I'll give her some money. But here's what happened. So here's the other lesson learned is I did this, fast forward about 6 months. My membership group wasn't working the way that I had structured it. I had decided to use a different platform. The engagement wasn't the way I was spending a lot of time and energy creating content for these people that were sort of like, meh. It wasn't a huge moneymaker. And I let it go after 6 months. Okay. I thought 6 months I didn't let it go after 1 week. Okay. I did put in a good college try, but after 6 months, I was like, okay, this is sucking out more of me than I'm getting in return, either dollar wise or energetically. There's something not right about it. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to stop this for now and put it on pause and sort of reassess what is the problem. Is the problem the platform? Is it the content? Is it this? Is it that? And that was hard. Okay. That's hard because you don't ever want to think something you did didn't work.
Right.
But it's not a failure because I learned a whole lot. And then I decided several months later, now I have a free Facebook group, which is a, community type environment. And I had over 100 people in it in 1 week.
Oh, that's amazing.
Okay. I didn't have 100 people in my membership group in 6 months.
Right.
So because I wasn't doing it right. I'm not to say that I couldn't do it in another way, but you just have to be you have to swallow a little bit of your pride and really get down to brass tacks and ask for feedback. Ask the people that could potentially give you money what they want.
Exactly. Yeah. Because, and you also, while they were, air quotes mistakes, they really weren't. Like you said, you kind of have to go through that. We all have to go through that where things are not going to work. People are not going to sign up. It's not going to go as expected. You're going to have these goals that you don't achieve. But what comes out of that is invaluable. Now, first of all, don't launch 17 things in one day.
Right. Okay. Yeah, exactly.
And also maybe a membership isn't the right space, or maybe it just needs to be structured a little differently. And maybe you just needed more time or to launch at a different point in your journey. And then it would be
right. It evolves. And anybody, I don't care if you've been doing this for 6 months or 6 years or 60 years, your initial product, your initial image, your initial everything is not what it is going to ultimately be.
Oh, not even close.
Because we sit here fooling around trying to make everything just perfect. But the truth is, even if it's really good, it's still going to change. Mm-hmm. I mean, for sure that all these uber big name people are you think Amy Porterfield's first course looked like the course she offers right now? Of course not. And it's kind of fun. I like to see when people that are advanced in their business really show look at this. And you've done that too. You're like, hey, look at this picture that my sister took of me flexing my muscles and trying to sell coaching programs.
It's so embarrassing.
Well, but it's not embarrassing because
but in a good way.
If you would have never done that, you would still be sitting in a gym employed by some big box training and being miserable and thinking you had more to offer the world and just not sure that anybody cared,
Yep, exactly.
So put the first messy, weird, imperfect little picture out in the universe and do it. See, that's what I got over to get on the video. People want to see your face and your, whether it's photos or video, and they're not looking for a big production. I mean, unless you are selling media, I'm not in the media business. They're not coming to me because they want to produce a TV show. So the people who are my audience don't need to see a big, highly produced show. If I show up,
you're a human.
Yeah, you show up and you have to clear your throat or your hair looks wonky or whatever, okay, they probably think hey, that looks like me. That's what I look like this morning when I drop my kids off at school. That's the whole point of it.
It's part of the connection piece that is so powerful in a service-based business is building that connection. And you do so by way of being an imperfect human and relating to people in that way. I'm just like you, my hair's a mess and I just dropped my kids off and I haven't had time to shower, but I'm going to show up anyway.
Right. And here's the thing, there's so much freedom and huge burden relieved because you're well, that'll save me time. Mm-hmm. If I don't have to go get my highlights done every time I make an IG live, then that's pretty cool. I can just show up on my and I'll tell you, my podcast has almost no editing. In fact, I'm about to put out an episode. I was interviewing somebody else and her dog started going like haywire in the background. And she was like, hold on, I got to let my dog out. And so she get up for like 2 seconds. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just leave that in there because it's real. It's the real. And if somebody is so offended by 2 barks of a dog on my podcast and they're going to stop listening, like I said, the chance of them being on my inner circle and being a super fan is pretty low anyway. Fine. Go find another podcast that's perfectly produced. But to me, I was like, okay, I can spend an hour editing 2 dog barks out of a podcast, or I can just let it be. But I don't even hesitate.
I think, your audience anyone's audience that's listening, they're going to be fine with that. And if they are, like you said, if they're offended, they're not your people, and that's totally fine. All right. So I have 2 more questions. The first question is, what does your future business look like?
My future business, you know what? So I do group coaching is my jam. I mean, that is my teaching modality of choice. But I'll tell you, I have a side dream of continuing to do that and do a lot of speaking, like big platform, big venue speaking, because my whole mission to disrupt the diet culture narrative and reduce weight stigma in healthcare, I feel like that's bigger than a Zoom call. Even if it's, yeah. And so, but I love the coaching. I love working with just people that are like me. I mean, just people that are like, okay, well, that's all great. I like your big magnificent idea, but I just want to know what to buy at the grocery store. I want to know how to feed my kids when they're all sitting at the dinner table, like arguing with me. Like that's who I want to actually talk to. But my business would be a combination of group coaching to the point where I don't want the groups to get bigger. I want to have groups of, probably no more than a couple dozen people that are tight, that are a community that not only learn from me, but learn from each other, because there's a lot of power in that. And you've been such a good example of that. And you know what? If I need to raise my prices, great. If I need to go on a wait list and raise my prices, great. My dream job would be to have that signature offer that people just can hardly wait till I open the doors next time. And then some little speaking gigs where I get in front of big audiences and really shake the tree.
Yeah. I mean, what you're doing and the message you're sharing and how desperately it's needed today. And it's like TED Talk worthy, like seriously.
Yes. Oh, well, here's a little secret. I did apply for a TED Talk.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
we'll see.
amazing.
It's extremely competitive to get on those big red dots, but I will definitely do it because it's an idea worth sharing, not to steal their brand, but when I get messages every single day in my email, and I'm kidding, and I'm not famous, my word, I am not like some sort of, icon, but I get messages from regular old people that were like, I just follow your Instagram page and I wanted to let you know that I sat in my car and cried an hour after I came out of my doctor's office yesterday because they told me I'd probably never have a baby because I was too fat. Somebody like that. That's why I do what I do every day. I don't do it because I want to buy a yacht and live in Tahiti. And I'm so much a homebody. You know what? I'm like, oh, I want to make enough money so I can send my kids to a good college. I'm like a big nerd like that. But I do it because of those emails, because of people like that. And that's not a person who bought my course, and she may or may not ever join my group. She may just watch my Instagram every day, but I know that there's people watching whose lives are changed by what I'm doing.
Yes.
And if you trust that eventually the energy in the universe will bring dollars so that you can, I know you talk about this all the time. It's really not about the dollars. It's about the dollars give you freedom to then amplify your message. That's what I'm looking at. Yeah.
It's just another token, which there's tons of others, but money is a token that is kind of almost this expression of what you've already done and a way for you to continue to do it in a deeper and bigger way, like make this bigger impact. That's what is, I think a lot of heart-centered entrepreneurs will say, at least when they make money, it just infuses back into their business so they can make a bigger impact. Like, yes, of course, we're going to support ourselves and do what we want and make sure we're having a nice life ourselves, but also the money goes back in to help more people.
Yeah. When you start becoming like a bean counter, you're pulling yourself out of that heart-centered entrepreneurship.
Yes.
You just have to trust. I mean, there is a lot of trust that, okay, the money will show up if I keep showing up and doing the right thing. And I'm doing it with integrity and with consistency. And you just do it and just kind of like let it happen. That sounds so woo-woo coming out of my mouth, Sean. I think I've spent too much time with you.
I know that like just lit me up so much. I'm like, oh my gosh, Maggie just said that. It's so true though. It's so perfect.
Well, and let me tell you that I am not woo-woo at all on the level of Sean woo-woo-ness. I'm not, that's not the cloth I'm cut out of, and that's fine. But there is an element of that in everybody, no matter how analytical and quote business-minded and professional and all this stuff you are. We are just humans, and we do have souls and we do have hearts. And when you open up the ability to use that in entrepreneurship, that is going to go a really long way, and you will stand out because there's a lot of people not doing that.
Oh, so true. Oh, you are just saying all my favorite things right now. I'm just so happy.
Well, I learned from the best, Sean. I learned.
Okay. Last thing. You've already given just honestly probably 25 pieces of amazing advice in the last 50 minutes. But is there anything that you would like for someone listening? Do you have any advice, or what would you even give advice to the Maggie from last year, like a year ago?
Well, the main thing to keep at the top of your brain, I think, is every single touch point, I'm going to use that word, with a potential client has to be about them. The precision of relevance, like that has to happen, because as soon as you're just a little tempted to be random, and you just see that funny little meme of a baby eating in a high chair and you want to put that on your Instagram stories, or you just want to put a picture of your husband washing the car or whatever it is, like you have to decide. And there's nothing wrong with those things, but if you are trying to show up as a brand authority, you need to show up with consistency in your messaging, your language, your imagery, the whole thing, and find some other outlet for those little snippets of random. Now, I'm not saying that you can't ever put anything personal, because people want to know stuff about you, but you're really good at doing this, Sean, because you have to it all has to tie back into the point. Mm-hmm. Like you don't put a picture of you and your dogs, hanging out just to say like, hey, here's my cute dog. Your dog is very cute, by the way. Dogs, especially the one wearing sunglasses. That I didn't even know they made dog sunglasses.
Oh yes, and they are adorable.
That's adorable. Pretty cool. So, but it always ties into like, this is what I'm doing because I'm a heart-centered entrepreneur. I go and spend Wednesdays hiking with my dogs or whatever. Like It has to be relevant, because, and here's the other thing is that you will feel like you're repeating yourself.
Yes, that's what I was just going to say. You will feel repetitive, but you're not. You will feel
like you're repeating yourself. Like they've already heard that. I've already said that. I've already made that comment. I've already posted about that. Okay. But the universe is big and people are coming and going off your content. So you have to assume that any interaction could potentially be their first interaction with you, and treat it like that. Like treat it like you're standing at your front door welcoming guests into your cocktail party, not that like this is a clique who's already here. And there's ways it's nuanced. This is why you need a coach, right? You need help doing this, because that doesn't mean every piece of content has to be like entry-level content and you never talk about anything more advanced. It just means that the way you position it is that you are inviting people in at every touch point.
Yes. And no one feels lost or confused or like this isn't for me anymore. You can find that relevance in every case, which is so important. Right. And it takes time. It takes practice.
It takes practice. And it's not intuitive to do that if you've been used to using social media and websites and blogs for your own personal sort of, like life history and kind of scrapbooking and whatever. It's different when you're doing it for a business. And so if you're not clear how to do that, it would be the best first money you spend on your business. You're going to spend a lot of money going into business. Okay. Number one, make yourself legal. Okay.
Yes.
That is the first dollar you spend, is making yourself legal, because you will never recover from having to pay out for a lawsuit. So make yourself legal first. Number two, get a business coach or a mentor or some sort of relationship with somebody who's a little further down the pipe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then you can decide how much money you want to spend on a microphone and a webinar platform and a this and a that. Okay. All the little fun bells and whistles. Make yourself legal, get a leader, and just do it. Just do it.
Good. Oh, so good. I love it so much.
I know. Is anybody still listening? It's been like a full hour now.
Okay. Yes, we are totally. I mean, I could just honestly keep talking, but we're going to wrap it up. But I want people to go find you because your content is so good. And there is not one person I know that doesn't need to hear your message. Like the diet disruptor, also just how to speak to your doctor about weight or how to get around that conversation. Like that stuff, we need more of it. So everybody
needs to hear that. So, well, you will put all the links in your show notes, I'm sure, but I am Maggie Landice MD. And the easy thing is that's where I am everywhere. That's my website is maggielandismd.com. That's my handle on Instagram, Maggie Landice MD. I will tell you, Instagram is where I spend the most of my time. I have a Facebook group, which is really my utilization of Facebook at this point, and it's called the Diet Disruptors. But if you want to get into that Facebook group, it's a free Facebook group and it's a community. I mean, that's what I wanted, was a community that's a little closer to me and a little tighter to each other. That's not necessarily at the level of being in my coaching program.
Yes.
Because that's of course also an option. And like I said, all those offers are on my website. And then I'm also a podcaster too. If you're not totally tired of hearing me talk, you can find me at the Eatfluencer podcast.
Oh, you are just the best. This was so great. It's kind of amazing how much you've evolved in less than a year. It's amazing.
Yeah. If you keep showing up, it happens. It really happens.
There's no other way.
You got to just have patience, because it's not, your pockets are not going to be lined with dollars, straight out of the gate.
It's so true.
And,
Maggie,
thank you for having me
so much for being here.
Sean,
You're
thank
the
you.
Best. I love you. And we'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, my friends, how awesome is Maggie? And it just blows my mind. And I even said to her after we got done recording this episode, it blows my mind how much she has learned in such a short period of time just by showing up and doing the work and being committed to her service. It blows my mind when I think about who I met last, probably August, and who she is now and how much wisdom she has to share from what she's learned in not even a year in business. I hope you all can take something from that. What I took from it, to sum it all up, are really, I say, two big things. Number one, keep showing up. Keep showing up. Be patient and show up in a way that serves the people you want to help. Show up for them consistently, and don't be afraid to repeat yourself, but be consistent and continue to show up. The second thing is to build connections, build community, build relationships. No need to focus on the numbers, the metrics, the dollar signs. Instead, focus on who you're serving, how you're serving them, and the connections you can build with those people, because that is what will create success in your business. You don't have to worry about the unsubscribes, the unfollows, the hater comments on your Instagram posts. What you need to focus on, what your energy should go to, are the people that are watching. There are people out there watching what you're doing, and building a community around that, creating lasting connections with those people is what will move your business forward. Okay, I will leave it at that. And until next time, take care. If you're like most of my clients, you followed your passion for health, got your certifications, did the trainings, and now you're excited to have your very own thriving, impactful wellness business. But how do you actually do that? It's a common position to be in, especially in the wellness space, because no one teaches you this whole business thing along the way. This trend is exactly why I'm here, a passionate nutritionist turned business coach for wellness professionals, because I'm done seeing wellness practitioners continue to play small in their business simply because they don't know the right steps to take. If you're like most wellness pros out there with a dream to start their own impactful, freedom-filled business, you've probably spent hours trying to build your website, figure out what the heck to post on social media, and taking all the courses to try to get confident in what you're doing. Or maybe just the thought of all that sends you into a puddle of stress and overwhelm. Good news, you don't need a perfect website, a killer Instagram strategy, or to be an expert to have an impactful and successful business. What you do need is a plan. The Wellness Business Blueprint is the jumpstart you need to plan, prepare, and execute on your passion for helping others without that sinking feeling of overwhelm. Because this isn't like the other stuffy, boring business plans out there. The Wellness Business Blueprint is centered around you. What feels good to you? What's right for your business, your dreams, and your lifestyle? What keeps you in alignment and your energy flowing? What allows you to stay sane and stress-free and excited in your business? Because building your dream wellness business starts with a plan that works for you. This free 15-page printable workbook will take you through my signature Flow and Grow business framework so you can create your own business vision while gaining clarity, structure, and a solid plan to move forward. Download it today and get started on your business blueprint. Head to SeanMiner.com/WBB. That stands for Wellness Business Blueprint, and get started building your dream wellness business today. Again, that's SeanMiner.com/WBB.